Hey, tolerators. This is To All the Men I've Tolerated Before with Natalie Katona, your weekly look at everyday misogyny. Today is a brilliant day because we have the amazingly talented Alrinthea Carter back on the show. Not only will you remember Alrinthea from those awesome episodes on the SAG writing strikes and Cowboy Carter, but you'll know her work writing for hit shows like A Black Lady Sketch Show and the new reboot of Yo Gabba Gabba. Alrinthea is here to heal my inner child by allowing me the privilege to bring her into my trauma as we talk about being eldest daughters. Thanks for being here, Al.
Thank you for having me and for giving eldest daughters a platform and a support system because we won't ask for it.
We will not ask for it. We talk about it all the time. I'm always like, excuse me, as I begin to cry because I am an eldest daughter and I feel shame currently.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, we never form clubs. we never
No.
we never talk to our moms about it to be like, hey, just an FYI, you've done this to me.
Right. Especially if our moms aren't also eldest daughters, they have no conception of what that means. And so, yeah, there needs to be like a national organization for eldest daughters, not eldest children. I want to make that clear to the listeners. Eldest daughters is a very specific uh, uh, group to belong to.
Right. Because you can be the fourth child born in your family, but if you are the eldest daughter, who cares about those other kids?
Right.
It will still all be on you. So I am the eldest daughter of an eldest daughter. And I am also and I don't remember where my grandma Peg falls in the birth order, but I am also her eldest granddaughter.
Oh, the
Yeah.
double blow.
Yes.
Man.
Yes. The trauma just layers. Layers upon layers. And I've sat at my grandma's graveside and I told her, I understand why you were cold. I understand why the world makes women cold. I get it. Just so you know.
And are you the oldest of daughters? You don't have a brother, do you?
No, it's just me and my sister, and we're 17 months apart. Because do you have brothers? That's one of my questions. What's your family makeup?
I don't have brothers, so I have two younger sisters. And I think like even that is a very specific group. If you're an eldest daughter of daughters, of just daughters, that's something else. But yeah, I have two younger sisters, and my middle sister is 5 years younger than me, and my youngest sister is like about like I don't know 7 or 8 years younger than I am. And so yeah, interesting dynamics as well.
Yeah, I think that I never understood how being an eldest daughter really impacted me until possibly now because my sister and I are so close in age. So we were sharing friends and clothes and activities and things like that. But then I look back and I'm like, wait a minute. I believe some of us were allowed allowances and some of us were not.
Exactly. Or some of us are better equipped to speak up for ourselves, and that's usually not us. It's
No,
usually
the way, listen, the way that my sister will set a boundary like it's a law and then the entire family is afraid to break it. And I'm like, well, that must be nice.
yeah. Where's that come from?
Like the way when we were kids, we had a love seat, a couch, and a chair in our living room. And when we would watch TV together, my parents would cram themselves on the two-seater love seat because my sister loved to stretch out on the couch. Like the power.
Wow, man, I'm jealous.
I know the power. And that's just one way that being an eldest daughter affected my childhood. I always got second class seating.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could be given that seating, but you would naturally get up to
Uh-huh.
give it to somebody else
Oh, yes.
too, right?
Yes. The meeting everyone's invisible needs. sometimes I wonder if I really loved all of my cousins when they were babies and I loved my aunts enough to be involved in their rearing of children, or if I was just like, I don't know, I guess I should be changing diapers too.
Or it is you weren't given a choice. You're just like you're the big sister, and you've got to take care of your younger siblings. And it wasn't called like, I mean, it probably was called like babysitting, but it wasn't called like, no, you are participating in the caretaking of another human being as a younger person.
Yeah, it was always like, well, we knew everything was going to be fine because you were in the room. So I don't understand why someone ended up with a bloody nose. Why didn't you intervene before a fight happened? And it's like, well, I just didn't. I didn't feel like that was on me, but
Yeah.
I guess it was. So yeah, I mean, the amount of times that I've been told, well, we just figured it'd be cool because you were involved, and I'm like, oh. Okay, like I'm petrified of snakes. They're really the only animal I can't fuck with. And we were at my aunt's house and it was on a busy highway and it was like surrounded by farmland. And a snake came up to us and I burst into like loud, dramatic tears. I think I was like 5, 6, 7, I don't know. I was little. Burst into big, dramatic, like crying tears because the snake came at me. All of the adults ran from the backyard to the front yard and started screaming at me because they were like, we thought a kid got hit by a car if it was you who was crying. And I was like,
Oh
oh, okay.
no. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel you. I
I
feel
feel you.
you.
Just like the weight of responsibility all the time. Like, I think that one thing you and I connect on being Capricorns who are also eldest daughters is
Oh,
is you cannot get us to speak out loud a feeling.
you're right.
Like, hey, Alrinthea, how are you feeling currently?
And I'll say, I guess I know, but why would I tell you that? Right? That's not pertinent to whatever conversation that we're having, even if it's about feelings. Or I would say, you know what? Let's focus on you for a minute. Like, don't worry about me. I'm fine.
Well, I always just go with, I'm fine. I'm okay. Everything's fine. Do I not look fine? I don't understand.
Bless. Oh my gosh.
And you know what traumatized me into the believing that eldest daughter syndrome was a real thing is after the quarantine. People so my sister got really anxious during the quarantine, which I understand it was an anxious time, but she was like one of the like I wouldn't say like doomsday preppers of COVID or whatever, but she followed the rules. There were
Yeah.
rules and you had to follow them. And I was living on my own at the time away from my family. So sometimes I was following the rules better than most times. Like there were there were a couple of things where I was like, well, I don't know what to do with myself. So I guess I'm gonna go on a walk in a park with someone or whatever. And I'd allow myself allowances. Um After COVID, my mom came to visit and like I think we were talking about like my sister's pregnancy or something. We sure as hell weren't talking about me, but she looked at me and went, and that's why I knew I never had to check on you during the pandemic because I knew that you would be okay. And I literally, I was like, oh, and I was the only person in my like entire family, like cousins, aunts, uncles. I was like one of the only people who was like raw dogging the pandemic on my own, like just me and a cat and a dream. And I was just like, okay. She's like, yeah, I never had to worry about you. I was like, Natalie's smart, Natalie's strong, Natalie's got this. She's always okay. I went into my own bathroom and I just like texted my friend, my best friend. I was like, my mom accidentally hurt my feelings and now I'm crying. And she was like,
Oh,
did she call you strong again?
there it is.
There it is. Did she call you strong again?
Oh man.
And again, like, and I get it. Like my great aunts who never had driver's license were always surprised that I was strong enough to drive myself hours to get to a family function. I get,
Yeah. I get
yeah,
that too. Like they're like, you drove all this way? And I'm like, but how else would I have gotten there? I mean,
yeah. I mean, no one else was going to. My dad is so surprised how hard I lean on things like DoorDash and grocery pickup and stuff. And I was like, because I don't have a spouse to go get me Taco Bell. So I pay some guy named Brad to go do it for me.
yeah. And
Yeah.
then you hope that you can at least count on Brad.
Well, hey, all of my friends say you can't trust your real husband to get what you need from the Taco Bell. So it's an even playing field.
Yeah, there it is.
There it is. So I'm like, so I pay some guy named Brad to go get my cheesy gordita crunch so I don't have to drive in the rain because I too don't like driving.
Ah, yeah.
Like I don't like it. I will make sure that I'm never in the car. And it's through the power of DoorDash. So yeah, he's like, you must have a membership or something. Cause you be getting euros a lot delivered here. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
I have to eat.
I have to eat. And I like, and I hate cooking because I hate cleaning up.
See, I'm the opposite. I love cooking, but it's only because I learned how to cook so early because I had my sisters, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that besides being like the street babysitter, because my sister and I were so close in age, I didn't have to take on a lot of like caretaking roles unless little kids were coming to us.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I had to babysit my two sisters because my dad was in the military, and they would go to a lot of like different functions and things. And so we were in a situation of like being on a military base where you don't necessarily have your friends, your family, on my parents' end, like the friends and family around them. So they needed babysitters and they needed help. And so you have an in-house babysitter right there. And so, that's what my job was. But it's that's the reason I had to learn how to cook. Or my parents made sure I knew how to cook because my sisters needed to eat, right? And so that's how I learned to make my first box of hamburger helper because I was babysitting.
Oh yeah. I like I did used to end up babysitting my friend's boyfriend's baby sister in the summers so that they could dry hump in one of the bedrooms. And I'd just be like, I love playing with babies.
Sure, this is the job I want.
Yeah. No, I love this. Like, why would I ever want to dry up? I'll just be the nanny. And the mom would come home and be like, Natalie, why are you here again? And I'd be like, I have nowhere else to be.
I'm a worker bee. A worker bee works.
A worker bee works. And I had such an inflated like ego of responsibility. Like I'm pretty sure that as a kid I was a buzzkill because because we'd get to the movie and they'd be like, "Let's go see whatever R-rated movie was happening." I wouldn't know because I wouldn't sneak into it, and I'd be like, "We told our parents that we were going to go see Drumline, and I'm like really interested in watching Cannon play the drums. So I guess I'll be going to that by myself because that's what we told." Like, that's what we told our parents we were going to go see.
Right. If no one else is going to follow the rules, you will. And you would also know how to break them too.
Oh, yes.
Because for me, like when I got to go out with my friends and enjoy things, like we would sneak and do other things. And I would be the friend that would read the book of the movie and then and this literally happened. So the First Wives Club, right? I was like maybe a sophomore, junior in high school, and I'd read the book, which is like a 15, 16-year-old girl reading a book about like that's not a book that you would think like a high schooler would pick up, right? A novel about first wives. But I read the book and we told our parents that we were going to go see that movie. And I gave my friends details from the book to tell their parents, thereby being a babysitter again. Like I am not even just a babysitter, I am a facilitator at that point. And so even if we're doing something wrong, I'm still going to be the person that's going to organize and implement things.
Oh, yeah. Because also the way that I will sneak around doing something wrong, knowing that in no way is my reputation allowed to be tarnished and I cannot fail at things. So like for me, that would happen so my senior year of high school, I had no business being in pre-cal. None. And I was, while my sister was in math topics, learning how to like count and and earth science, learning how to recycle and watching Finding Nemo. I'm in pre-cal and physics too. And what my dad didn't understand was the only reason I did so well in physics one was because I was friends with the TA and he would like grade my papers nicely.
What?
Yeah. He was just he would do me a solid and change my answers or just ignore the fact that I was doing things wrong. And I didn't actually learn anything about physics. And now I'm in physics too. He's graduated and abandoned me. And my two,
Oh,
yeah. And my two smart friends who are younger than me are like, why don't you know any of this? And I'm like, well, here's the thing. I knew that I couldn't fail this class that I was bad at and not understanding. So I cheated.
yeah. You did what needed to be done.
Yeah. And every day for pre-cal, I would copy my friend who worked at McDonald's with me. Me and my other friend who worked at McDonald's, we'd be like, where's Aaron? Let's get his homework. And we'd copy his homework. He was designated to do the homework because he understood it. And the we had a student teacher that year for pre-cal, and he wouldn't fail me on quizzes and tests because he also couldn't explain things to me because he was attracted to me and couldn't speak to me. So I also used that to my advantage. I'd be like, okay, he can't talk to me. He's going to feel bad about that. And I'm going to copy Aaron's homework. I'm going to use my wiles, I guess, on this guy. And I'm going to graduate high school having kind of passed pre-cal.
I mean, all you're saying is just you have really good organization skills to me.
I'm a great manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. And and then you tell stories like that to people and they're like, we don't actually know if that makes you a good person or a bad person. I was like, it makes me an accomplished person on paper.
It makes you a survivor and
Oh,
someone who can pivot and you can adapt to whatever situation. The bad person is probably the TA that enabled you, but you were able to make a situation work for you. And if I mean men do it all the time.
all the time.
So why not you?
It's called networking. I'm pretty sure is what it is.
Yeah. And it's like you went to like medical school and physics is like, you know, it's something that is like essential for you to not kill somebody.
Yeah.
Now, if you did, or if you became like an engineer and you're just like, I don't know what opposing forces mean. I don't know what any of that means, but let me build your bridge for you. Something else.
My mom told me a couple of weeks ago that because I passed pre-cal and physics and took all of the quote unquote hard math and science classes that I was cheating in. she she was like, your dad thought you were going to be an engineer. Your dad thought that you were going to like be something. And I'm like, oh,
Surprise.
surprise, surprise, surprise. Because now, as I'm a 36-year-old, my family really has to grapple with the fact that I failed at like eldest daughter and I failed hard. I don't make any money. I don't have any husband or kids. I don't have any of the things that would make like people proud of you. I got like
The benchmarks you were supposed to have met.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am an eldest daughter dropout, and I've dropped out hard.
I haven't dropped out yet, but I have not achieved goals and learning objectives that I set for myself
Oh,
that no one asked me to. My parents have never been like the kind of parents that have been like, let's pressure you into getting married, or I'm going to start peppering you with questions when you haven't had kids by your age. Like I've never had to deal with that. And that's a big blessing for me. But I put those things, those responsibilities on myself. Like, obviously, I need to get married and have kids and, do all these things.
yeah. Oh, yeah. The like, I'm never doing anything for fun. That would be insane.
Or if it is fun, it's because it has a greater purpose, right? Like, it's going to lead to something else. Like, you always kind of know. And I mean, at least for me, like anything that you do that's fun or a hobby or something like that, like on the outside, is really like, oh, I need to learn to do this. And so I can enact this part of my 10-year plan.
Yes.
And I may have fun doing it,
Yeah.
but it's all towards a purpose.
Yeah. And I guess I haven't fully dropped out of eldest daughter syndrome because I did start a collage, and it is a visual representation of Brandy Carlisle's The Eye, the song about dancing in a hurricane. And
There you go.
yeah. And as I was conceptualizing this piece of art, I was like, I'm going to put it on TikTok. Brandy Carlisle's going to find it, probably want to buy it. And then she's going to teach me how to be gay. Because I need a mentor. She's going to take me on the road. Like, I'm going to get to meet Elton John. Because why would I just be doing something because I liked the song and had an idea? Honestly, the first day that this podcast dropped on an app, I texted my friend who was my former co host. I was like, I'm ready to quit my job. I think we can make this something.
This is happening.
This is happening. I'm famous. Like, I can see it.
I am published.
I'm a
It is on there.
That's my name. Yeah, and my friend texted back and she's like, yeah, like this has been fun, but I don't think you should write a resignation letter. And I was like, what? What's fun? Nothing's fun. This is.
Yeah, this is a job. I've decided that I'm good at this and I'm going to do it.
Right. And I don't even know, like, I don't know if I say these secret thoughts out loud, but like, I joined Glamorous Trash Book Club where we became friends, where I have made wonderful friends that I have actually gotten to vacation and see. And I joined because I was like, well, there's going to be people on that Zoom call that I need to meet. I need to meet them. They need to know that I'm talented and funny. And whatever happens from there on out is what happens from there on out.
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Why else would I be in a book club?
Certainly not for the books.
Not to read. I am always hustling. And my mom and I get accused of that, of like doing that at family reunions. People are always like, why are you acting like you're the most important people here? And that you're the president of the family reunion and you have to go shake everyone's hand and kiss all the new babies. And I'm like, I have to.
Yeah, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Especially if you're hosting it.
I'm never hosting it because I live far away.
Well, if my parents are hosting a party, like it's like understood that you're also a person that's like, do you have enough to drink? Do you have enough to eat? Regardless of the age, not even like my 40s, like as a kid, like I learned how to host people at your house,
Yeah. I mean, it's literally wild how our brains are wired to be like, hey, going to see that movie Companion was probably fun for you for 15 minutes, but let's plan 3 podcast episodes that get us face to face with young Natalie from Yellow Jackets, Sophie Turner. I'm like, I know her name. What's her name? Thatcher. Sophie Turner is in Game of Thrones.
Yes, I was like, is it? Nope, nope.
Nope.
Two different Sophies. Yeah.
So many Sophies. Yeah. I'm like, let me get 3 podcast episodes just cranked out. Did it to Wicked, cried my entire ass off during Wicked, and went, I can't talk about this on the internet. Cannot wait for attention.
Are you providing a port in the storm for
I'm,
other Wicked fans? You
yes.
know?
Yeah. I mean, have you, I mean, Alrinthea, have you learned how to enjoy anything ever?
I, I'm like, that silence is me honestly thinking, like, is there anything that I enjoy purely just to enjoy it, even if I don't talk about it? It's probably like photography and music. But like, I can even like, even photography started as like an additional job because when I was taking photography courses in college, I paid for like the things. If you ever take photography in college, you understand how expensive it can be because you have to, and this is like, again, in the analog age where you had to learn how to develop your photos in the darkroom, right? And so you were responsible for buying film, buying photography paper, and, of course, paying for the classes. And so for me, I just started charging my friends to like take pictures of them so they could give to their parents for like Mother/Father's Day or Easter or whatever. And I would put that money back into my photography education. And so, like, even if I'm like, okay, this is something that I love from my heart, sometimes like the roots of it is like, oh, it's a service I can provide for other people. And this is just going to help me be able to provide that service better. But music, I would say, is something that is definitely purely mine. If I don't talk to another person, that I mean, I can enjoy the music that I listen to and the concerts that I go to. I will share that with people, but it is something that's like it's mine. That and writing, of course. So yeah,
I will say that music is one of them for me too, because it inherently has to be something that I haven't already decided that I'm gifted at. And like I can sing a tune, but like no one's asking me to sing at their wedding. Like
right.
I'm probably a little bit better than Tom Sandoval, but they don't turn his mics on for his gigs. So
Oh, the baby.
I know I can hold my own at karaoke. But the worst thing that someone could do is tell me, like, well, you could get good at it because I see the potential in you. Like, one time, a friend told me, you could be my movie music producer. You seem to understand a lot about music. And I was like, I bet you I could watch 3 YouTube videos and figure out how to be a music producer.
But if you had to, you would,
Yeah, I
right?
would.
Yeah, yeah. You would know in your heart, like, oh, you need me to do this. I don't know a lot about it. You give me 48 hours, and I will bring back expert knowledge on this one thing
Yeah.
for you.
And
Yeah.
honestly, I think it has made me like accidentally an asshole about people who believe that they cannot do things. Like when we went to the Eras tour, and my best friend, who then called my sister about this, and she texted me and she's like, I need you to teach me how to make the friendship bracelets. And I texted back, I literally can't. It's putting beads on strings and tying a knot. Like in my head, I was like, I can't be trying to teach you how do you not know how to do that? And then she called my sister and she was like, your bitch ass sister just told me I'm too dumb to go to Taylor Swift. Yeah.
Oh,
And then she told me eventually, she's like, I meant matching colors and coming up with the sayings. I need you to use your color theory to help me out because I never know what matches on my children. I have to buy outfits as a complete set. And I was like, oh, okay. I can tell you what purples look good with what purples.
do you find yourself thinking, is this a Capricorn tree or an eldest daughter tree?
are all cap
Because
are Are all Capricorns eldest daughters? Is it just a circle?
Maybe, I don't know. But I feel like there are thoughts where you're like, okay, I am giving you the facts of what I think is going to work better on this. And if you don't understand it, then that confuses me, right? And so, like, I have it organized in my head what I'm going to say to you and how I'm going to express this. But if you are still confused, then I'm confused. And then I am like, then you start to you start overthinking because you're like, wait, am I not being clear? Why am I not being clear? Should I take a class on being clear? You know?
Yeah, because there's a class out there for it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. But like the amount of times where I'll accidentally make someone feel stupid because I'm like, what do you mean you don't know how to make a smoothie? You put shit into a blender. Like, I don't understand. And people are like, yeah, like people don't just wake up every day being like, you know what I could do today? Learn a new skill.
Yeah. Or I want to get this job. I want to get this job. And so I'm going to learn to do the same.
Yeah.
And if I'm not good at it, that means that it's stupid.
Yeah. Exactly.
That means it's impossible.
Oh, if I'm not perfect at it day one, that means that it's broken.
No.
Dumb. I literally had to write number one. I have to tell everyone every time I get a piece of feedback on my writing, and I do not cry and I do not quit because the 15-year-old Namely is still like, you should just quit that. Like, why are they telling you that you're wrong?
Right. And you're not like mad at, well, at least for me, like I'm not mad at them for not getting it. I'm immediately mad at myself for not explaining it well or not getting it fast enough. Like if I'm coming to you for help on something that I feel I should be good at, I'm turning that inward and I'm like, but I should know how to do it. Like I should know how to achieve this really quickly. And if I have to ask for help, then there's like that element of shame that comes with it. And you're already like on edge because you're like taking the chance to be extremely vulnerable. Teach me how to parallel park, you know? And you're like, everyone should know how to do that. But it's like an emotional thing to be like, I need help figuring out how to put my car in reverse, even though I know it, you know?
Number one, I understand that everyone should know how to parallel park, and they technically made me do it to get my license. But that man knew I was going to cry, and he let me do it the easy way, where you just pull in and pull out. He knew I was going to cry. Or I think he walked me through it step by step and kept telling me everything was going to be okay.
Step by step and with pictures. Like if you can give me, when I first started learning how to drive with my dad, like he would just tell me what to do. But I'm like, no, I need like a full diagram for you to be like, first, do this, second, do this, third, do this. And if I'm not going to get it, I would get frustrated at my dad. And my dad would be like, oh, well, you're mad at me. I'm like, no, I'm mad at myself because I should be good at this immediately. You
This is
know?
why it took me until I was 17 to get my license, because my grandma died. Then people tried to teach me how to drive, and all I wanted to do was sleep and pretend that I already knew how to drive. And my dad allowed me to get the car into a ditch. He knew it was going to happen and he let it happen on purpose. And then when it did happen, I went, why wouldn't you intervene? And he said, because now you get to learn how to get out of a ditch. And I got out of the car and I was like, I can walk home from here. Not getting out of a ditch.
My relationship with this car is over. I'm out.
I'm done. I will not learn how to drive. It seems stupid and dangerous. Yeah, that was a true story where I was like, I will just get out and walk home. Why would you? And then I'm fighting it. Why would you just let me get in a ditch? That's the stupidest thing I've ever witnessed. But you know what? My uncle, real quiet guy, real straightforward. He could take me practice driving and he'd just be like, okay, Natalie, you can stop right there at the stop sign. And I'd be like, yep, I'm going to do that. And he'd be like, all right, good. And he'd just grunt at me the entire time. And I'm like, that's what I need. I need no people in my head because I know how to do it. I'm that kid that's constantly like, no, I know how to do it. Leave me alone.
Right. Like I'm already picturing this in my head, and I just need you to affirm what I think I already know.
Yes. I'm just paying you for affirmation. That's why I'm
Yeah,
taking this class. I just wanted the confirmation that I was already good at this.
yeah.
Yeah.
You're not teaching me. You were consulting me on this.
Also, like, we're human, right? And we've lived a life. We've lived through COVID, recessions, college, dates, all of it. At some point, we've had to ask for help. And the last time I had to ask for help in a really big way, because I wasn't finding real consistent work after COVID, I kept, even though I had already been told, yeah, I'm going to help you out and everything's going to be okay, I kept going. And I promise I won't be a loser for long. Like, I'm crying. I'm promising to not be a loser for the rest of my life. What does that
Yeah.
even mean?
It's the unfair expectations that we put on ourselves, but also like our families, they're kind of, and this is not a fault for them, but they're so used to us putting those requirements on ourselves that they're just going to assume that we know what we're doing and how to get out of it. And so we get ourselves in such a mess. Like for me, I'll become like this whirling dervish because I haven't achieve the thing that I am convinced that I'm supposed to achieve. And I lose it because I don't know how to conceive of what that is, what that is like, what that feeling is. And then it's at that point that I talk to my family, my parents and my sisters, and it feels like a much bigger problem because I've made it a much bigger problem instead of just like, I need advice on this.
Yeah. Well, and when I was a kid, I did have to be like the person who was like, aren't you just going to make everything okay? And like, for example, my dad chose not to learn how to use a debit card. I don't know why. I don't know what year he was living in, but he just refused to use it and learn how. And when we would ask him, don't you have a magic card that connects to the money that's in the bank for you? He'd go, that's your mother's business. And we'd be like, okay. So he would have Fridays off or like summer Fridays or whatever and be in charge of us. And he'd be like, who wants to go to the water park today? And we'd be like, fuck yeah. And he'd be like, okay, here's the thing. Your mom has a pass, but I don't have a pass. So Natalie, get out your babysitting money. And I would just like look horrified because they done knew that my sister had already spent her money. She doesn't have a care in the world. She's already, and who knows what she even spent it on. But I'm a saver. I'm like, I could do anything with this money, and I'm choosing to do nothing with it.
You had to pay for everybody.
I had to pay for everybody. And do you know how many boys I would pay for things for to try and get them to like me? I'm like, hey, you want halvesies on this Panera sandwich?
That I do get.
Yeah.
That I do get. Like, I am going to prove to you that I am of use to you, and then you can love me.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So the, also a beautiful layer of it is if I didn't pay for him to get to go to the water park, then I've ruined everyone's day. And we could have had a nice day, but Natalie decided to be selfish.
Right. When it
Yeah.
wasn't your job.
No,
It
I
was
was
never, it's
11.
never our job
No.
to, it's never our job to do this. We do it, but it's never our job. We are at best like a COO, maybe, or a senior vice president of the family. We're not in the C suite. We're not the CEO. We're not the CEO. We're not the CFO. But the responsibility is on us to make sure things go smoothly. And it could be small or big things, but that stays with you.
It stays with me. And sometimes I still get tricked into believing it's not happening. Like when my mom was preparing to leave my dad, she was secretly making me her confidant without saying out loud, and that's why I'm going to leave your dad.
Oh,
She was just telling me things about other people's marriages and like why marriages fall apart and how things happen and who she was talking to about their marriage falling apart or whatever and why things change. And it was 3 days before my 22nd birthday when my mom left my dad. Whatever. And my birthday's on Christmas. And that's why I get to remember.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so when it happened, I remember calling my aunt and went, I should have figured this out. And she went, why would it be your job to figure this out? Why would you have put all the red lines together to be like, aha, mom's leaving dad? I solved it. I was like, because the clues were all there. She did this, 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 and this. And I was her I was her confidant. I should have put it all together.
Right. You had to figure it out. And then you had to use the option of parent trapping your parents back together, right? That's what movies taught us.
Oh yeah.
It's the kids, job to protect their families and not even knowing what the actual dynamics are, with the grown-ups, but you have this need to fix it, to make it better.
Well, and my mom didn't get to leave our home with her cell phone at first, but it was when cars used to have phones like built into their Wi-Fi system or whatever. I don't know how car phones work without a physical phone. So I kept calling the car and I'm like, I just need to know she's okay. But cars don't have like voicemails. That would be silly. So I was just like, I'd find like I'd be by myself and I'd be like, okay, it's not going to trigger anyone if I call the car. And I just kept trying to call the car that one day because I was like, I would just like confirmation that you're fine. You've just devastated my entire family. I've literally been to every bank and lawyer in the tri-state area, but could you let me know that you're okay? Because I'm fine.
And just before Christmas.
Yes. I also texted my aunt, have you talked to mom today? She went, why would I need to talk to your mother today? And I'd be like, I just think it'd be great if someone talked to mom today. One,
Here's a nudge, nudge, nudge.
here's a nudge. And they called me instead. And then I had to be like the story carrier of all of that. Like I became the person that it was okay to ask, like, hey, why did your parents break up? And I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah, because this isn't my trauma too.
Yeah, that's such a good term, a story carrier, because yeah, you do carry a lot of things that you probably shouldn't have been privy to, but affect like the rest of your family. So if your younger sister, or for me, my younger sisters, ask me questions, I would be the one that would know, like, this is what's going on with the grown-ups right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also like I trained myself at a very young age to get over things quicker because they're like I don't know why there's a stopwatch on my feelings and how long I'm allowed to feel about something. But I always remember people being so shocked when I had a feeling that I was like, "Oh, and now I have to get over it because now everyone's in chaos because I big sad." And so I got over my parents' divorce light years before my sister. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, that's something that maybe just recently happened. And I then became the pancake kid where my mom got to come and visit me one on one in a different state and explain to me why that event had to happen the way that it happened or happened at all. So then it's like more things that I'm carrying that when my sister says something, I'm like, well, I actually have context on that, but you're never really interested in the context because you still get to be mad.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know, and then they don't know that there's an issue because they have been deemed not ready to know, but you are, and so you have kind of like you have a double weight on you.
Yeah. The day that I sat at my grandma's grave and told her I understand why the world makes women cold and mean and bitchy and I forgive you for it. It's because I really wanted to tattle on her to her about how all of her goddamn kids were acting during this funeral because we used to be a family who acted right because she would make sure she'd yell at us. Like she'd be like, "Oh, we're not acting right," and she'd be flipping her cigarette around and we'd be dodging. We're like, "No, we're acting right. We promise." And I literally went to her grave on my way back home. And I was like, Grandma Peg, no one acted right this weekend. And they all fucking ratted me up. And no one, I had to be everyone's cruise director for a fucking funeral. We have a giant family. We do funerals once a year. And no one knew how to do it right this time. And I'm crying. I've never met my grandpa. And I'm like, what up, grandpa? Excuse me. I have to yell at grandma for a little bit. Like, and it's just like, I cried right before my uncle's funeral. My mom had told me I might be too sick to come. What do I do about that, Natalie? And I was like, I don't know. That's between you and your sister. I don't know. I made it. And then she's like, oh, okay. Are you being nice to your uncle? He's going through a really hard time. I go, yeah, I am being nice to my uncle. I'm being everyone's emotional support dog. Don't worry. I'm everybody's puppy. Everything is happening through me. It's fine. And then, like, if my mom wasn't coming, then my sister wasn't coming because my sister was driving with my mom. And my dad had told me that he was coming and then, of course, ditched out on it. So then I had to tell my cousins, like, oh, no, he's not coming. Apparently, like, that wasn't feasible for him to do. But he did send this plant. Did you see the plant? And so I end up at a different cemetery on my way out of town, just being like, Grandma, I get it. I get why the world makes women bitches. Because all I wanted to do was scream at all of these people to be like, we know how to do this.
And you do it yourself. You're just like, I'm just going to do it myself. And I haven't had the personal experience of having to, be involved in the planning of a funeral. But I imagine it would kind of be the same thing. It's like, and it's highly emotional. Everyone's highly emotional about this because a person has been lost. Or I guess you know what they are, but a person is gone. And so you're dealing with that while also trying to steer a ship and you take it on yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. I will say that, like, I still grieve all of the times that I wasn't good at that. Like for my sister's wedding, I but all ghosted and uninvolved myself because I couldn't deal with the pissing match that my mom and dad were going to have. And then I told myself, and that's why I'll never have a wedding. I will instead just one day wake up married to a bombshell like Gabby Wendy did in January. I will just announce one day that I'm married.
There you go. I would probably do the same thing.
Like I solved it. I don't have to go through that because I solved it.
Yeah. Or I had a baby 6 months ago. Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. And like, also, I don't know if this is a Capricorn thing or an eldest daughter thing. Let's crack it. Sometimes I think, was that me being genuinely upset, sad, happy for someone or whatever? Or was I mass manipulating the room in the situation?
What do you mean?
Okay, so it was a Taylor Swift song that made me click on this, and it was Mastermind on Midnights. And she talks about how she sets everything in place because she is the mastermind of everything that she's ever gone through. So, like, of course, you met and fell in love with me. I had it planned all along from moment one. Of course, you wanted to be my friend. Of course, you wanted to hire me. I am a mass manipulator. It's never my talent, my soul, my heart, my anything. It's just that I've either cried at the right time or laughed at the right time or flirted at the right time or whatever. And the entire time I knew what I was doing.
Right. And yeah, I can see that because you question yourself in any like new friendship or relationship. You question yourself and you're like, do you really like me or have I done something to make myself look attractive to you? Not physically, but uh, uh, you know, logistically.
Yes. Have I made life easy enough for you that you've decided to stay?
Right. And that's the thing. I mean, I have a problem too in that, it's hard for me to like open up and allow new friends to get close to me because I have like my friends that I'm close with, and it took years for me to get close to them. And especially for me, moving to a different city, that's something I'm kind of having to learn to do is to let people just be my friend instead of me having to earn their friendship, or it's not my responsibility to set up friend dates. If they want to also hang out with me, they can also do that. It's not, I don't have to be the usher for a new relationship and make it easy for somebody else to be friends with me or to love me or be attracted to me. I mean, and this is coming after years of therapy, I should say. I mean, I think everything I've said and every viewpoint I have now is because of therapy and knowing kind of like why I do things and how I look at it and why I make myself feel a certain way, negative or positive, because I'm considering that in relation to the comfort of other people.
And I do think sometimes too, it's why I end up, Alrinthea, do you know how many times in a week I think to myself, you should text Alrinthea to see what she's up to this week because you love talking to Alrinthea. And then my next thought is, don't bother Alrinthea because you want connection today.
Well, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like, especially if they're like a new friend, I'm like, okay, we haven't the way my mind, the analytical side of my mind is like, okay, we haven't established a baseline of like how often I should text you, how
Mm-hmm.
long of a message I should text you, what signifies the ending of a text conversation, and do we have enough of a relationship to actually talk on the phone?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chris DeRosa, last week or a couple of weeks ago, he started an email with, I'm just copying this email uh, for Natalie too, because honestly, I miss her. And I was at my sister's house. I read it out loud to her. I was like, look at that. That's hilarious. I go, because I yacked his ear off 45 minutes yesterday talking shit about something I was irritated about. So it's nice that he misses me. And I literally screenshot, sent it to him, and went, I think it's really nice that you missed me, considering yesterday I was a wretched shrew who used 45 minutes of your day to complain about something that annoyed me. And then because I knew that it probably also annoyed you. And he was like, no, I really do just like miss talking to you. And I was like, you can call me. I go, they don't even, I feel like with Zoom and the pandemic and stuff, like now all of a sudden our generation is like, FaceTime calls have to be scheduled, phone calls have to be scheduled. I should be able to anticipate every Wednesday I talk to Alrinthea on the phone on my way home from work or whatever. But I'm like, you can just call me. I don't have any friends in Indiana who aren't toddlers. Like, you can just, I would love, I told him, I go, I'd love nothing more than to have a family FaceTime call with you and Hassan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Appointment conversations because also I mean you have to and this I think this is a Capricorn thing, this is the Capricorn side of us is you want to schedule a conversation at a time where you could be completely present, like you for me I'm like I would rather be on the phone with you for an hour than like 10 minutes to check in, and so that leads to me being more isolated because I'm like I want to be able to have a real conversation, but I'm not until it's perfect. And so you lose touch with people. But the people who love you know that about you and they know that to reach out and check in on you because they know that you're probably not going to reach out until you have something substantial to say or something substantial to share.
Well, and then, so I have friends, right? Like I have one friend who I can be on the phone all day with, and we've said a total of 15 words to one another, and we interrupted each other the entire time. And then the rest of it was just listening to one another type or
Yeah,
breathe.
that would make me crazy. I would be like, you know what? I'm going to go.
Well, and sometimes I am like, why did you call me? Why did you call me if we're just going to listen to one another breathe?
Yeah.
Why'd you call me if the kids were home? Those kids don't let us have any peace. Why would you call me? Like, but sometimes I'm just like, well, this is comfortable because it's almost like you've been friends for so long that you're just a 60-year-old old couple watching Matlock together and not talking about it at all. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Just like, oh, I solved Wheel of Fortune, but I forgot to say it out loud. So point for me.
Exactly.
Exactly. And but it is like, especially with like, we're friends because of the internet. And like my entire childhood, number one, friends on the internet were people I was actively catfishing, or or were going to kidnap me. Those were the only two poles. There was no in between. But now in 2025, it's so much easier to have friends who live far away. And I feel like I'm always in our group chats, just being like, hey, when is someone going on a trip that I could possibly crash because I'd love to also be included? And people are like, we're not just always traveling, deadly. And I'm like, okay. I thought that maybe we could go to the Mall of America for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't reach out because you don't think anyone's gonna say yes, even though I can tell you, this is Alrinthea talking to you, not the guest talking to you, that people would want to go with you, right? Like and I'm talking to myself as well. It's like sometimes all you have to do is just call, make the call because maybe someone's waiting for you to call them and ask you, so it's hard to kind of figure out, and it's hard to as an adult to make friends anyway. So you add in all of our other issues and anxieties, it makes it so much more difficult, but it's so important. It's an important skill to learn to be able to invite someone into your life and be friends or otherwise and not automatically think that they don't want to. And that's something I'm still healing from.
Yeah. And I really love going to visiting other people because I get to turn off the cruise director in my mind because I'm like, I'm not the expert of LA. I am barely a person who's been to LA. And so someone else will tell me where to eat today because they will know more than me. And I do have like a hierarchy in my mind where I'm like, I can bow down to this expert when I'm traveling, and other people that drives people crazy. Like, well, why wouldn't you just Google all the restaurants, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, because I do that at home. And vacation to me, I love going to my aunt's house because once I get to her house, I don't have to think anymore. Like I just put my bag down in the little guest room in the basement. And then she goes, hey, your other uncles and aunts are coming over tonight and we're getting pizza from this place. And she knows what pizza I like. So she's already prepped for that. And then she's like, and then tomorrow, this is how it's going to go. And I'm like, oh my God. I whereas like sometimes like my mom and I get caught up in like, is it good enough? Like if I take you to this restaurant, is it good enough? If I take you here, are you having a good time or whatever? And I'm like, no, whenever I go down to St. Louis to see my aunts and uncles, it's always the same. And that's why I love it.
I love it. I mean, when I go see my parents now, um, I feel like I'm getting the attention that I didn't get as a kid. And usually it's because if I go to see my parents these days, I'm usually the only one of the three of us that's there. But I know, just like you said, I can go. I have my bedroom at my parents' house. I know that my dad cooks breakfast every morning. I know that dinner is promptly on the table at 5 p.m., if not 4. My parents are senior citizens. And we all sit down together and watch, Family Feud at 7. And I have no responsibilities. Like my responsibility is to help my dad put groceries away, or maybe I could be the extra special helper when he's cooking. But I have no responsibilities there, and I feel like my parents are almost kind of making up for that time where when I was younger and my sisters were there, I was probably the one that's cooking dinner, or I was the one that had to make sure that my homework was done so I could help other people. And so it's kind of been really great for me to be able to go to see my parents because I'm able to be in a child's role at that point. Like I heard my parents having an argument about me, and they're like, "Did you make sure the girl ate?" No. Well, why not? And I'm like, I'm the girl. I'm right here. I'm in my mid 40s myself. But their concern is to making sure that the girl has food or the air conditioning in the girl's room is cool enough because she gets hot, and so it's just been it makes me feel all topsy turvy because I'm like, this is what I craved when I was younger, but I didn't know that I craved it because I didn't know it was possible. And so I love going there now. I mean, I would have loved to go anywhere anyway because I love my parents, but just like the roles are different.
Yeah, I tell my mom all the time that one of my favorite things about being a grown up is being my aunts and uncles' peer. My mom's youngest brother is only 12 years older than me. Um, yeah. So, and my mom will look at me and I go, no, seriously, like I have things in common with Aunt Melissa. I have things that make Uncle Matt laugh. And I love being the person that like gets to tell him about TV writing and things like that. I go, and I love that no matter what I say to him, he's going to be like, I just listened to an NPR episode about that. And then give me every bullet point from the NPR. Like I like being their peer. I loved being their niece, but like to be their friend is like a whole new dynamic. And she's so floored by it because I mean, that's not something our parents were allotted. She was like, I'm pretty sure your Aunt Donna still thinks I'm 12 years old. And I was like, yes. But that's also why I love going over to Aunt Donna's house because she will treat me like I'm 7 years old. And I love that.
Yeah,
Like,
you get to be the kid that you never got to be.
yeah. And I do see like my mom, especially, like just trying. And again, because we're two eldest daughters who are just always stressed out, like I'll see her trying to do something nice for me. And then I'll just like bat it away and be like, I don't deserve that. I don't care where we go to eat dinner. And then she'd be like, okay, but I don't eat. So you have to be the one that cares about where we go to eat dinner. And we're just batting back and forth because we're mentally ill. But yeah, it is a whole thing to be like yesterday, I was like, everything technically gets to be play until someone's paying you to do it and then it's work. Like,
Mhm.
that's how I want to feel about screenwriting and writing and stuff, because if not, I'll get so bogged down that I won't do it at all. Because I've already told Julia, I go, there are too many options for me to work on now when I sit down to write. And she goes, well, what do you mean? I go, well, I could be writing scripts for TikToks, or I could be writing pitches for guests, or I could be working on my sitcom, or I could be working on the cartoon I have planned out for Penelope. And I go, and now I have decision fatigue. So I just sit and stare at the list and go, I get to none of them. I don't like, I don't know. I go, I'm going to have to like literally assign every day a week of like on Wednesdays, you work on the sitcom. On Thursdays, you work on the cartoon. On this day, you study other people's work to see if you'll come up with 100 more ideas to make an outline for and then stop.
Wow.
I know.
That's your Capricorn side.
I know. Oh my gosh. I wish I knew. Like, I feel like I know so much about astrology and so little about astrology. But when I had to say, because I'm a Capricorn sun, Libra rising, Cancer moon, and I saw an astrology Instagram that was like, all three of those signs in your exact positions have just gone through hell for a decade, a straight ass
Mhm.
decade, and your decade of suffering is over. And I was like, aha, that's what it was. And I sent it to you, and I was like, we've been suffering. I knew
Yeah.
it.
And for me, like I'm slightly different in that I'm a Capricorn sun, rising, Mercury, Mars, Venus. I'm a Sagittarius, and I'm a Cancer moon. And so my whole life has been, I feel like chasing order and not knowing how to do it for myself, just assuming it's going to be there. And I think like sometimes I think, am I leaning into this Capricorn thing because am I basing my personality on what my sign is, or is my just my personality and the sign just confirms what that is? And I think that's what it is. Like I think I've always been this way, and regardless of like star placement when you happen to be born, I think your personality is your personality, but I've learned enough about my star sign, about being Capricorn, and about being a Cancer moon to understand, like, oh yeah, I can kind of conceptualize what my feelings are about different things and how I receive information and how I give love. And so, I guess I feel like there are people that use their astrology signs as a crutch, and it's just like, oh, sorry, I'm a villain, but I'm a Scorpio. But no, you're a Scorpio that happened to have been born in either October or November, or you're a weirdo that was born in either October or November, and you may just be a villain because you're a villain. The stars have nothing to do with it. It just helps me put a framework on what that is.
I know that I have a little bit of villain in me because every time my nephew is like toddler devious, part of me just like lights up like a Christmas tree. And I'm like, yes, let's be devious.
But do you think it's because you want to be devious or because you weren't able to be devious and now you're like encouraging?
It's probably a little bit of both. I do have like, a little bit of a dark side. Like I do be loving to be a villain. Um, like that's why when Kendrick was like 2025, baby, it's the year of the hater, I was like, sign, seal, deliver. Don't worry, Kendrick, I'm there. Let's bring back mean girl culture. I beg. Like,
Maybe. I mean, and this is like, and this is me talking not as a Capricorn, not as an eldest daughter, but someone who's a counselor. I would venture to guess that's because you weren't able to act out before. And now you have the ability to set boundaries, state what you believe in, be what you want to be. And we've been taught to like that's villainous to be yourself, right? To enjoy something doesn't have to make sense or doesn't have to fit in some sort of box. And so I think like I feel like it's almost like it's not villainy, it's freedom. And you're seeing that your nephew is able to have that freedom, and you're like, I wasn't able to do that. Let's paint on the walls. Let's do it. Let's break a rule. And it feels wrong.
when my sister was having the second baby, and she was like, why did you just watch him hide all of his pacifiers and stow them away so he could have them when we didn't want him to have them? And I was like, because I respected the hustle. Like I watched him plan it out. And I was like, well, it felt detrimental to his like mental like upbringing or development to be like, no, 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 don't plan things out and be smarter than all of us. Like
Mm-hmm.
I go,
Mm-hmm.
so I just let him do it. I go, and then we touched foreheads so we could just combine our evil powers together and moved on with our day. But yeah, I do think a lot of it is that, you know, I didn't let myself act out at all when I was a kid. Like
Mm-hmm.
the not going to R-rated movie things. Um, and I think I always felt like college was supposed to be that. Like I thought I was gonna like and then I went to a Catholic small college where everybody knew everybody's business and wanted you to go camping with them in the name of the Lord. And I was like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I don't care about your little matching necklaces. No, thank you. I hate camping. But yeah, I do think that like part of my wild 30s is just like the whole like being okay with being new at screenwriting and like literally writing down things for me where it's like Alrinthea said you weren't new because it's lived within you forever. You've just found it. And like doing that, like that's huge for me to just be like okay with showing up to a workshop and being like, holy fuck, these people have actually done things. And I'm just like, hi, I have a podcast and I care about feminism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, instead, your background is just as valid as anybody else's. It doesn't. I mean, and that's one of the things I've kind of learned about about Hollywood as a concept is like it doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter like what you've done in the past or what level that you're at because it isn't a meritocracy. It's like it's what you want to do and what you want to do with the stuff that you have. For me, I'm pretty much like a beginner in the industry. I've been in this for like maybe 3 years. And so I may not know as much as somebody who's been in it for like 15 years, but my viewpoint isn't any less valid or my talents aren't any less, usable. Information is information, but if you have the talent already, that's what matters.
Yeah. And I do think that like being an eldest daughter made me comfortable in any room that I was going to be in because I was always, either an adult or a kid or the babysitter of the kids. Like, so I do like find myself like my friends love to push me at famous people and be like, say hi to that person so they will say hi to me. And I'm like, okay. Then I'm like, hello, nice job today at the Broadway play that we all just saw. This is my friend.
You're the emissary.
I am. I am the cruise
Yeah,
director. Um, I would probably be the most tired bitch on White Lotus.
that's who we are.
That's who we
That's
are.
who we are. And for me too, like I have an extra layer of being a military kid too. And so military kids are just expected to adapt because when you grow up, I grew up in the army. So in growing up in the military, like you learn from a very young age that the mission, whatever mission your parents are on as military members, like that's your job too. And if you are moving, you've been in a place for like 3 years and you've made friends and now you have to move again, it sucks, but it's part of the greater mission that we're all part of. And then like your job is to support whatever parent is in the military in their carrying out of this mission. And so I was one of the lucky ones that didn't have to move as much, but I had friends that had to move every 3 years. And so for me, and that's another like a layer to like why it's kind of weird for me to make friends because I'm used to them leaving. I'm used to them going after a couple of years, and I have to make a new best friend every 3 years. And so I think like maybe as women, as Capricorns, as eldest daughters, like we're given this framework and we're not given the choice to do anything else, and it affects us as adults. It needs to be studied.
It truly does. Like, honestly, I would love to know brain stuff about eldest daughters compared to youngest daughters, middle daughters, only daughters.
Mhm.
Hell, sometimes I think only daughters have it worse than us because
Yeah,
there's no one to bounce that off of. Like sometimes as an eldest daughter, you can delegate.
right. Yeah, you can delegate because you have somebody else that's on your level, in some way. But and I also think of like oldest sons, right? They're automatically, expected to be the man of the house. If the actual man of the house is like incapacitated or gone, that responsibility falls on them. But they're not even just responsible for like any other kids in the house. They're responsible for supporting their mother as well. And so like eldest children as a collective, like there's so many things that are going on. But with daughters in particular, is that emotional weight that you have. You're expected to carry on for the family and take care. Like if you allow me to be really nerdy right now, I'm thinking of like the Borgias, right? In Italy. And the God, what was his name? Eduardo? Whichever Borgia was the Pope, had two sons and a daughter, right? The sons were like, one was in the church and they were supporting their dad's, vaccinations. But the daughter was one that was like, okay, you're married, your husband died, so we need you to marry this person now because we need this alliance. And now that husband says, I need you to marry this other person now. And like she was sent out as like this automatic ambassador with her body to bring back the power for men. And she's the only daughter, so.
Well, what do you think has been your biggest lesson about being an eldest daughter?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the biggest lesson is that I'm off duty now. My
Yeah.
sisters are grown up. I'm grown up. They're not even just grown up. They're in their 40s also. And so no one needs me to be the hero all the time. Like and having to deal with like the fact that I don't have to be in charge. And something that's freeing. Like I've decided that, I don't I've come from, and I'm sure you're the same way, overachiever, was doing great in school, was in 5 or 6 clubs, we're probably the president of 5 of the 6 of those clubs. And now for me, like I don't have to do that. I don't have to prove my worth through my accomplishments. I can focus on the things that I want to do for my personal career. And I think that's what's helped me the most. Now, it's a little bit different because my parents are older. And so I'm also kind of going into that caretaker role for them. But at the end of the day, like I am able to do that on my own terms. And if I'm going to be a caretaker, I do it because I want to, not because I feel like I have to. Like I love my parents and I'm honored to be able to take care of them. But there's no hidden contract that says I have to do that. And that sets you free a little bit.
I do think that my biggest lesson has been like, you don't have to be so available. Like, because I mean, just a silly example is this Friday, my dad and his wife can't use their tickets to Singing in the Rain, but I'm working for my sisters on Friday because I like holding babies. And it's always easier to be in a house with two grown-ups and a baby than to be the solo person in a house peeing while also being in charge of a baby. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so as I was like, okay, well, I could somehow also get cleaned up. And then finally I just told my dad, I was like, it's not going to work because I already told Emily I want to do this. Like, instead, and I was just like, you can just eat the cost of your tickets. I don't know. I was like, it's not actually my responsibility to make sure that your tickets get used. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just eat it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, what would you manifest for the eldest daughters out there?
Well, it's a hard question because it's like, is my the thing that would manifest, is it different for oldest daughters that are still living with their families and oldest daughters that are grown up like us? And so I feel like for the grown up, the people who are like out of the house, grown up, is you are able to take time for yourself and discover who you are and discover like what makes you tick when it's not in service of anybody else. And you learn how to be in service of yourself. I didn't really learn my whole life. I thought I was an extrovert because I was out and doing things and running stuff and blah, blah, blah. But when all of that was taken away during quarantine, where you physically couldn't do anything but sit in your house and worry about yourself, if you're single, anyway, I was single, you were single. I learned that, oh, being in a crowd or being with people can be really exhausting for me. And I need to be able to have more than a day in a week to recover from that. I used to have something called introvert Sundays where I wasn't responsible for anything having to do with any of like my 5 jobs that I had, or making sure people had things or calling things or organizing things. I would just be able to rot on the couch and watch TV, and I would feel guilty about that. But now, I mean, now at this point, I know I needed it. I know that if I'm going to a party with somebody, like I went to an Oscars party on Sunday. On Monday, I was exhausted, and not because I didn't want to hang out with my friend that I went to. I mean, our co-friend, Anne, loved being with her, but it's being surrounded by all these people and having to look on and be of Hollywood and be of the movie industry. That, like, when you allow yourself to relax, like you feel like you lose the tension goes away. You feel tired. You realize how much you were tensing up to be a performer.
No, yeah, I feel that because I love a rot day. But I also like, because on Oscar Sunday, I wasn't at the party with you, but I was in group chats, and all of a sudden I was like, those people are wrong. I'm right. the Academy is also wrong. Like this, that, and the other. Like,
Or
it,
you limit yourself. I'm used to being on like two or three group chats during things like that. And what I've been doing this year, I mean, now that award season is over, is like, okay, I have one group chat that I'm participating in on a regular like rate throughout this show because I can't give like observations to this and my observations to another group of friends is going to be completely different. So it's like, okay, this is our group chat that I'm focusing on.
that was smart. My manifestations and my lesson mirror yours, so I'm not gonna come up with word salad to just repeat what you said because I value our energy and our time. But Alrinthea, thank you for always being willing to jump on and do this.
Of course. Of course. I hope I was helpful. I hope I was helpful to all of you out in podcast land.
What kind of things would you like to plug to podcast land?
Well, podcast land, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter when I have the Notion, Thread, Blue Sky when I remember that I have it. I'm Alrinthea on everything. You can follow my blog at arinthiacotter.com and my photography at southernfilter.com, which I'll send all that to you. And yeah, just watch TV and support people who bring you entertainment, who write it, film it, produce it, act in it, create things for it. Enjoy those people and shout them out and support their
Yes.
effort.
And start enjoying the things that you're watching again. I feel like that's what irritates me the most. Like the entire time that we were watching the Oscars, someone wanted to boo something because it was like taking up time. I was like, I like it when the people presenting the award say something nice about each nominee because then it feels like it's worth all of our time. Like,
Yeah, I love hearing the speeches, even the speeches that are bad, because you have people at like their most shocked moment, even if they were expecting to win, and they have to talk about themselves in like 45 seconds in a huge ball gown in front of like 1,000 people in the room, and like how Beyonce could be there. Can you imagine having to like say a speech and they be like, "Oh, I like to thank my manager, it's zero gravity, and my mom and my dad." Where you're zeroed in on Beyonce in the crowd. So I always like to support people when they're giving their
yeah.
speeches.
I literally think that when I win an award, should the person who got to say my name when I won it is someone I admire, I'm gonna make them hold my hand with me. I'm gonna be like, no, you get to stand here with me in solidarity of this. I can't think of who am I thinking of? Like Jennifer Coolidge, you get
Uh,
to stand here with me. Like,
right. Or with Sean Baker, right? At the Oscars. Uh, he, I think Quentin Tarantino was presenting, and he was saying, if you hadn't cast Mikey Madison in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, who knows how she would have made it, her path would have led her to Honora. And so I think it's cool to give people their short flowers.
it also humanizes the ceremony because everyone who doesn't watch it is always like, it's just big Hollywood and awards don't matter and blah, blah, blah. But it's like, well, if you actually watched it and understood that, like, at the baseline, it is art and people care about their art and people care about other people's art and people care about how other people's art influence their art, then it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching Ariana Grande watch Cynthia Erivo hit that run, I'm like, I'll cry every time. I
Mm-hmm.
will cry
Exactly.
every time. Well, tolerators, you can find us on Instagram at Men I've Tolerated Pod. Natalie K124 on TikTok, Instagram, and Blue Sky sometimes. And we are on YouTube, and Reels and Shorts do end up over there. And that's where all the men are, and they're me. So it would be great if you were over there. But remember, tolerators, you don't have to smile through anything you're tolerating, including being made to be an adult at 10 years old because everyone's tired and it's always easier when there's a third adult in the room.
Exactly.
Yep. Smiles are for joy.